Okay, good morning. Today we're going to start our second session of students' 10 minutes presentation. In this session, we're going to have 8 presenters that we're going to talk about their selected topics. So without further ado, let me see. Is Hans arrived in the classroom? Okay, so even Hans is not arrived. So Zafiri Fadli.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jovan Ezra.
Yes.
Okay. Nermina. Is
Yes,
Nermina
sir.
in the classroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ratih Pratiwi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Muzaki.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hauda Alivia
Yes, sir.
and Muhammad Herdiansyah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us move. So let us start our session today. From the first presenter is. Okay, I will randomly select the name for the presenters. I'm going to invite Ratih Pratiwi as our first presenter.
Okay, sir.
And while Ratih is preparing her presentation, I'm asking everybody to also prepare or fill their assessment sheet for each presenter, because the grades of your 10 minutes presentation will be determined by the peers assessment. Okay. Please, Ratih, to start your presentation.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
My name is Ratih Pratiwi. Here I'm going to present to you my study about monitoring carbon dioxide storage and enhanced gas recovery in unconventional Chattanooga Shale Reservoir. As one of the sources of energy, natural gas can be used in various ways. One of the benefits of natural gas is to generate electricity. As we can see in figure 1, natural gas accounted for 40% of total utility scale of US electricity generation in 2020. And in figure 2, it tells us the US electricity generation by major energy source from 1950 to 2020. In 2020, 1,617 kilowatt hours of US electricity generation is coming from natural gas. Based on locations where natural gas is founded, there are several types of geological formation that trap natural gas, namely conventional and unconventional gas reserves. Conventional gas is trapped in naturally porous reservoir formations, kept by impermeable rock layers, so gas can move to the surface when intercepted by a well without needing to be pumped. Whereas unconventional gas is formed in more complex geological formations that limit gas migration ability, so it requires different methods to extract gas. And there are several types of unconventional gas, including shale gas, tight gas, and also coal seam gas, or also known as coal bed methane. In this study, what we're going to highlight is shale gas. Natural gas production is one of the large point sources of carbon dioxide emissions, and HASTE's carbon capture and storage, or CCS, as the mitigation action for stabilization of atmospheric greenhouse gas concentrations. Figure 4 illustrates the geological sequestration in unconventional reservoir. A huge mass of carbon dioxide is injected into the reservoir for enhancing the gas recovery. And during the flowing or half and puff process, some amount of carbon dioxide get trapped in between the pore spaces, as you can see here. Okay, so the objective of this study is to analyze the potential of carbon dioxide storage in shale formations while monitoring for enhanced gas recovery in unconventional shale reservoirs. And the Chattanooga Shale Formation, located in north central Tennessee, was selected as the study area for this project. There are a couple of limitations of the study. First, the study area has an organic shale lithology located in Chattanooga Formation. Second, the selected well candidate is a horizontal well owned and operated by CNX Gas. And the third one, the injection scale is a small-scale carbon dioxide injection. Okay, move on to the next slide. Here, I will explain the project procedure of this study. We have to do site characterization first by conducting a geological assessment so that we can select the injection well to ensure the good storage potential of carbon dioxide within the target formation. And the next procedure is MVA, or monitoring, verification, and accounting, where there are 13 nearby offset production wells that were selected as monitoring wells. Then there is site preparation to facilitate the proper site of carbon dioxide injection. And the last but not least, the injection of 510 short tons carbon dioxide to test the storage potential and enhanced gas recovery of gas-bearing shale. Then I will explain each procedure in more detail in the following slides. Okay, as a part of geological assessment, we can see the regional stratigraphic correlation in figure 6 here. This line indicates a strike-oriented line, or we can also call it as correlation A prime. And what about this line? This line is a dip-oriented line, or indicated as correlation B prime. The Chattanooga Shale regionally strikes to the northeast and dips to the southeast within the study area. There are 6 injection well candidates located in Anderson and Morgan counties. Here we can see the dots here. And then here in figure 7, we can see a generalized stratigraphic column for Devonian and Mississippian edge rocks. It can be seen that the formation of the study area is Chattanooga Shale, of course, with organic shale lithology, which is covered by the Fort Payne limestone formation and is above the Rockwood Shale formation. Okay, next is the site selection. Based on review of factors such as road accessibility, size of the well pad for equipment transportation and setup, and favorable relationships with land and mineral owners, a horizontal well owned and operated by CNX Gas was selected as the candidate to facilitate a small-scale carbon dioxide injection. In figure 8 here, we can see that in January 2009, the injection well was brought online as a natural gas producer, and it had averaged 40,000 cubic feet per day of gas over its lifetime. Before the well was converted into a carbon dioxide injection well, the injection candidate well has produced over 75.1 million cubic feet of gas. And in the last year of production before the well was taken offline, the average daily production was 14.7 thousand cubic feet per day. Okay, move on to the next slide, monitoring, verification, and accounting, or MVA. In figure 9 here, we can look at the 13 monitoring wells that are owned and operated by CNX Gas and Atlas Energy. The the HW means horizontally drilled wells, and the VW means vertically drilled wells. There are 3 horizontally drilled wells and 8 vertically drilled wells completed in Chattanooga Shale. Also 2 vertically drilled wells completed in above the Chattanooga Shale. So the blue and the red symbols indicate wells that were completed inside and outside the formation, respectively. We also need data of gas composition, historical gas production, and wellhead pressures of these offset production wells before injection. Any changes in flow rate, pressure, or gas composition will give us an indication of either carbon dioxide breakthrough at these wells or maybe an enhanced gas recovery as a result from the injection. Okay, next, the site preparation. So this is the layout of carbon dioxide injection well site. The road to the well pad were re-gravelled and graded to facilitate carbon dioxide delivery by truck to the injection site. A 70-ton carbon dioxide storage vessel was permanently stationed on site and refilled periodically by 20-ton tankers. The skid pump with all the controls and meters, as well as the propane tank and heater for heating carbon dioxide, was also located inside. And here we can see the wellhead of the injection well was modified to accommodate carbon dioxide injection by adding a gate valve, an inlet for the carbon dioxide line, and a T for additional tests and monitoring. The injection of 510 short tons of carbon dioxide would nearly equal the amount of nitrogen and water used to hydraulically fracture the well. During this injection, every 30 seconds, the operator will collect a flow rate, a temperature, wellhead pressure, and also the total cumulative tons. In figure 11, we can see the carbon dioxide injection data. The average flow rate was 40.95 tons per day, and the average heat output was 48.59 degrees Fahrenheit. Flow rate would decrease at night due to ambient temperature drop, requiring a higher temperature output and more propane to heat the carbon dioxide. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The time that Rati took for her presentation is 8 minutes and 53 seconds. That is which is below the 10 minutes, which is the required times. The one particular thing that I noticed from Rati's presentation is that her voice is a little bit soft. Okay, so maybe if you are practicing a little bit, can you make your voice a little bit louder? I know that it is sometimes the type of voice that people have. Sometimes we cannot change it, but in order for, I don't know how you are presenting in Bahasa Indonesia, for example, because probably because sometimes when people are talking with different languages, their tones or their loudness becomes different from their mother tongue. But in this presentation, the noticeable thing that I get from Rati's presentation is that the loudness of her voice is a little bit soft. So probably later on for your 15-minute presentation, you can practice to make your voice a little bit louder, or the position of your microphone is a little bit far from your mouth, so that the softness will be a little bit decreasing by making your microphone a little bit close to your mouth. Maybe that's the problem, but nevertheless, the presentation itself is well done. So let us take a round of applause for Rati for giving the presentation, so that we can move on to next presenter. Okay, you're welcome, Rati. The next presenter that I would like to invite to the class is Muhammad Herdiansyah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the time is yours. Okay, let me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
On this occasion, I will present my study entitled Relationship of DSF event in Indonesia with climate factors using the CC-GARS method. The existence of the COVID-19 outbreak in Indonesia, along with several new variants, the spread of which can affect various areas of life. Most people become more sensitive to the health environment, especially in the context of preventing the spread of the virus. Uniquely, although the COVID-19 virus can pass from human to human, this virus is actually an enveloped virus. Enveloped viruses are characterized by a nucleic capsid surrounded by an enveloped membrane. This causes the COVID-19 virus to be easily influenced by the environment. Similar to the COVID-19 virus, the dengue virus is also an enveloped virus. Thus, basically, these two viruses are easily affected by their environment. Furthermore, the reason I chose the title is because there is a pattern that can be seen from the data of the DSF incidence rate data in most provinces in Indonesia, especially provinces with relatively close distances. Effect of biophysics on dengue ecology, showing the interaction between climate factors, and viruses. Climate change can alter the space and time dynamics of dengue ecology, potentially increasing the range of factors, extending the duration of vector activity, and increasing the transmission period of mosquitoes. Weather is in climate affects disease ecology at multiple levels. There's nonlinear interrelationship creating complex dynamics that's not easy to model. Human factors such as behavior, immunity, and socioeconomic factors contribute to this complexity. The main purpose of this paper is to determine the climatic factors that have the most influence on the DSF event in their optimal values, though the dynamic condition correlation method, and determine the prediction of the provinces with the highest DSF event in Indonesia using the GARS method. This study is expected to provide benefits in research on the factors that cause dengue hemorrhagic fever, especially climate factors, and provide input for designing the most effective public policies to anticipate aspects in cases of dengue hemorrhagic fever. Based on the type of the virus transmitted, there are 4 variants of dengue hemorrhagic fever, but the immunity provided by the 4 is not mutually cross-protective. Thus, a human can be infected with up to 4 variants of DSF in his lifetime. After a person is infected with virus that has 4 levels of this effect, that person will carry this virus in his body and will transmit dengue disease to uninfected mosquitoes when the mosquitoes bites a human. This means that although the life expectancy of mosquitoes is only 1 to 2 months, this short time interval cannot be used as a benchmark in the cycle of spreading disease caused by mosquitoes, such as dengue hemorrhagic fever. Therefore, in the study, I will use annual time series data. When the wind direction is opposite the mosquitoes flying direction, the mosquitoes will increase its flight speed, and vice versa when the wind direction is the same of the mosquitoes flying direction, the mosquitoes will decrease its flight speed. Thus, in a room with a relatively high wind speed, mosquitoes will have relatively less movement. When looking at data, the first thing that comes to mind is the average. Whereas the average does not provide an image of the dispersion of scattering of the data, the mean is of its different random variable may be the same, even though the distribution is not the same. Therefore, other quantities are needed to describe the distribution of the data. In language, variance is quantity that indicates the magnitude of the spread of the data in the data group. In the other words, in the x values tend to be contested that the mean, their variance is small, and vice versa. If it's far from the mean, the variance is large. Correlation is reciprocal relationship of cause and effect. Covariance is a measurement that expresses the joint variance of two random variables. In short, in its normalized form of covariance. If the covariance does not have a maximum or minimum limit, the correlation has a limit that helps us to establish the degree or of relationship between one variable and another variable. In this study, unvariate or one variable analysis will be carried out using the Gauss method, and bivariate analysis or two variable using the Gauss DCC method. This is a framework of this study. The method that will be used is DCC and Gauss method. In both methods, the maximum likelihood method is used in order to produce a lower volatility than the secondary data. The data is processed separately through the Gauss method and DCC method. The following is the flowchart of the Gauss method. Initially, we're looking for the average value and the variance value of the change in the incidence rate data. Then we assume the average value as a constant value, and the variance value is a unconditional variance value. Then by setting the alpha value equal to the beta value equal to 0, the initial conditional variance value can be obtained. Getting the residual value from the change in incidence rate and the initial conditional variance value. The non-initial conditional variance value can be obtained, of course, by applying the equation attached on the right, on the upper right corner. In the next step, the maximum likelihood method will be used. To facilitate the method in this Gauss method, 5 boundary conditions as stated below will be used, where C and D are constants that can be adjusted according to the accuracy requirements. Using the non-initial conditional variance, we can find the time-dependent partial likelihood value. Of course, after determining the partial likelihood function first. Since we use the Gauss method, the partial likelihood function is attached in the upper right corner. The sum of the time-dependent partial likelihood values will be the likelihood value. To maximize the likelihood value in the Gauss likelihood function, we need to change 4 variables, namely the value of alpha, beta, initial constant, and unconditional variance, by applying 5 predefined boundary conditions. In the same way as the previous scheme, a new likelihood value is obtained. If the new likelihood value is smaller than the previous likelihood value, then the previous likelihood value will be used to obtain the next conditional variance value. So the next residual value can be obtained. With the next residual value, we can obtain the predicted value. The following of the first set of the DCC method. Until this text, the differences between the Gauss method and DCC method is only in the correlation value. But in the next step, it will be very different because the goals for both are different, and so that the equations are different. Some of the initial equation that will be used attached in the following chart below. The thing to note is that the value of stake 1 or initial value of each variable usually has a different equation with the value of the second stake or the non-initial value. If the Gauss method use 2 constants, in the DCC method, 6 constants are used. Another difference is that the resulting output is a matrix, such as that covariance is used, of course, by applying the equation attached to the chart on the right. By using the non-initial conditional covariance value, a time-dependent correlation matrix will be obtained. By using the time-dependent correlation matrix and the volatility matrix, the beta value will be obtained. Of course, by applying the equation attached to the chart below. Similar to the Gauss method, the DCC method will be used the likelihood method. However, the likelihood function used is different, and there are 8 variables to be changed. Sorry, that's all, and thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Herdi, for presentation. You are presenting in 10 minutes zip, which is on time. And so, oh yeah, the thing that I want to remind Herdi and all of the presenters here, if you are going to show a certain figure or you want to emphasize a thing that is present in your slide, please use the pointer, okay, or at least use the arrow or the mouse. If you are going to emphasize or to points, that is the most important thing on your slide. Or if you want to direct the audience attention to a certain part of your slide, please use the pointer, okay? Because if not, then the audience will lost in, even though you are talking about it, but if you're not pointing the figure or pointing the equation or pointing the step in the flow chart that needs to be specific, not to be specified, then the audience attention will be a little bit lost. So please use the pointer if you're going to emphasize something on your talk. Okay, after Muhammad Herdian's presentation, we would like to invite Nermina as our third presenter.
Yes, sir. Is it the share screen is
Yes.
already? Oh, okay.
Okay, you may start.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Namina. Today, I'd like to present my research study about sentiment analysis of online learning on Twitter during the COVID-19 pandemic using the naive Bayes method. First, I will explain to you about the background. In December 2019, the outbreak of COVID-19 in China was severe. Due to the rapid spread of the virus in the world, on March 2020, World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 virus is a global pandemic.
Is something wrong? Oh, I guess we lost Nermina.
I think the microphone, sir, is
Oh.
off.
Sorry, sir. Yeah. Is it my voice is
Yes,
already?
yes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Could you make your voice a little bit louder, please?
Okay, I will near my speaker. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is
Morning.
Nermina. Today, I'd like to present my research study about sentiment analysis of online learning on Twitter during the COVID-19 pandemic using the knife-based method. First, I will explain to you about the background. In December 2019, the outbreak of COVID-19 in China was reported. Due to the rapid spread of the virus in the world,
Are we losing her? Termina? Okay, I think there is some kind of a problem with Nermina's microphone. Okay. Okay, should we wait for her or? Well, do you, okay, while we wait for Nermina's appearance, should we just continue to the next presenter? Is everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me invite the next presenter. Okay, we already have Ratih Muhammad Hafdiansa, and then should we invite Muzaki? Is Muzaki in the classroom?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Muzaki.
Morning.
I'm here. I'm going to talk about my research, which is low-cost tensile strength tester for nanofiber mechanical properties. The outline of this presentation is our background and literature and measurement methods. The nanomaterial are material that have one-dimensional size between 1 to 1000 nanometer. Nanomaterial have extraordinary mechanical and chemical properties. Among all nanomaterial, the nanofiber is one of the nanomaterial that have the most application. Nanofiber are used in air filter, water filter, protective clothing, bandage, and drug delivery. Sorry. To know that nanofiber is strong enough to use in that application, we need to test the mechanical properties of nanofiber. Mechanical properties that we find are stress, strain, ultimate tensile strength, and Young modulus. The figures show that change in shape of sample when tensile measurements are underperformed. A tensile test machine was used to perform mechanical properties of nanofiber. There were two types of machine, namely hydraulically powered and electromagnetic power engine. The hydraulic power used pressurized air, and electromagnetic power used a magnetic motor to pull the sample. In the study, an electromagnetic machine was used. This machine has to clamp, load cell, linear gauge, electronic board, and graphical user interface. The purpose of this paper is to find the optimum load cell. So the load cell will not too big and it will not detect force when the test ongoing, or too small and it will be overload. And then we will define the gauge length of the actuator, and we will design low noise electronic board. Moreover, how to treat nanofiber when it tests and the area of fiber in the test. In the mechanical test, we will calculate stress range of the sample and will plot like this picture. Stress value was affected by the tensile force applied to the sample, and the strain was affected by the increase in length. Young modulus can be calculated after getting the stress value at several point by looking for linear regression from point 0 to the yield point, or Kalhook area. Furthermore, UTS can be calculated by finding the maximum stress value of the sample. So to get the mechanical properties, required force and the length increase. Force is in some paper, Huang et al. Used 10 Newton load cell and Tarus et al. Used 100 Newton load cell. So in this paper, we will use 100 Newton load cell. The load cell is made of aluminum alloy and has 4 strain gauge. The strain gauge will cover force such as tension, compression, pressure, or torque into electrical signal that can be measured and standardized. However, the maximum signal output is only 2 millivolt per volt. And if we use 10 volt voltage, the maximum signal output is 10 millivolt, so that an accuracy of 1 microvolt per gram. And the microcontroller cannot detect this voltage. Because of that, we will use amplifier that is HX711. HX711 is used to amplify the signal from the sensor. HX711 has 24-bit accuracy, so that the load cell sensor accuracy can reach 3 milligram. Furthermore, to increase the length of the samples, stepper motor and linear gauge are used. For one step stepper motor movement, there will be an increase in length of 58 micrometer. And TB6600 module is used to increase the accuracy of the elimination. Using X microstep of TB6600 module, the increase in length will be 7.3 micrometer. In following hardware diagram, there is a load cell connected to HX711 module amplifier. The reading result will be sent to microcontroller, which is at Mqtt, every 100 milliseconds. Moreover, microcontroller will send the readings to the personal computer, and microcontroller also drive the stepper motor by sending signal in form of pulse continuously. The frequency of pulse can be adjusted so that variation in pulling speed can be varied from 0.1 to 300 millimeter per minute. This tensile speed is also a parameter in measurement standard. In graphical user interface, we can set gauge length, sample area, and pulling speed. The strain race graphic will show in this graph. We can also find ultimate tensile strength and Young modulus. Then raw data of measurement consists in this volume. In calibration, we are using the ISO 75001 standard, and we will find 5 measurement or 20 point, and the calibration load used has OIMLF1 and M1 class. From the measurement result, the plotting is carried out as shown in following figure. From the graph, linear regression is performed, and error from sensor reading is obtained from the comparison between the actual mass and measured mass, which is 1 over the gradient. The following is flowchart of tensile measurement. First, we prepare the sample on the clamp. Next, the length, sample area, and tensile test speed are set. And we will press the tare to 0 the mass reading. When press start, the tensile test begin. The stepper motor start to move at the preset speed. The sensor read the tensile mesh for the time being, and the data is stored in graphical user interface. When the sample break, stepper motor will turn off, and furthermore, ultimate tensile strength and your modulables are calculated in graphical user interface. That's all for me. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Zaki, for your presentation. Okay, the noticeable thing that I can see from your slide is that you are not having any page number. Is it right? So so next time probably for your well, I'm just going to suggest everybody here is that when you are going to well, I knew that there are people who are not a fan of page number, especially for those who are presenting in the TED conference and such. But if you are talking in front of a in front of a seminar or in your defense, please add your page number so that whenever the examinee or the audience is asking you about the specific of a certain slide, they will point to the corresponding slide which interests them. So make sure that you add the page number on your slide so that it will help the examinee during your defense or the audience during a seminar to point out the thing that need to be clarified from your slide. Okay, so if you are a professional, like those who are like those experts who talks in TED presentation, that's another level. Okay, they don't need to include their page number for the presentation, because the main focus of TED presentation is the ability of one presenter to talk in an engaging way on that occasion. But since most of us that present here is novice presenter, students, etc. and so on, so please add your page number for your seminar and also for your defense later on. And since we are in the class, is basically is still on the learning stage of preparing a seminar and a defense presentation, that it is advisable for you to add a page number for your presentation. Okay, I guess Nermina is already come back from the troubles that she has. Could you retake your presentation and set up your slide into Zoom, please?
Yes, sir. But my friend will share screen.
Oh, okay. So the problem is from, okay. That's okay. Okay, so,
yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nermina. Today, I'd like to present my research study about sentiment analysis of online learning on Twitter during the COVID-19 pandemic using the naive Bayes method. Next slide. First, I will explain to you about the background. In December 2019, the outbreak of COVID-19 in China was reported. Due to the rapid spread of the virus in the world, on March 2020, World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 virus as a global pandemic. In the second week of November 2020, more than 52 million people were confirmed positive for COVID-19 and 1.2 million people died. The rapid spread of the virus through physical contacts forced all countries to implement social distancing and physical distancing to reduce interaction. These actions were taking place due to the main factor of COVID-19 transmission is through droplet released during talking, coughing, or sneezing. As a result of this policy, many sectors were paralyzed, one of which was the education sector. In the education sector, the strategy prohibits face-to-face learning and forces all education are the main obstacle. Next slide. This study aims to analyze public opinion on online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia in September until October 2021. This study used the keywords online learning, school, and lecture, which is filtered by the keywords online learning on tweets in Indonesian, which were pulled from Twitter and processed using the naive-Bayes algorithm to generate sentiment analysis on acceptance of online learning. By using the naive-Bayes classifier, by using naive-Bayes classifier, it is easier to classify text documents such as news text or academic text using probability. Next slide. Text analytics or text mining is the analysis of unstructured data contained in natural language text using various methods, tools, and techniques. Text mining is able to generate information through processing, grouping, analysis, large amount of unstructured data. Mining text objects are unstructured or semi-unstructured documents. Next slide. Sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is the process of determining sentiment and classifying the polarity of the text in a document or sentence so that the category can be determined as positive, negative, or neutral sentiment. Social networks such as Twitter are commonly used in sentiment analysis to determine public perception. Sentiment analysis is useful for knowing public opinions about a product, public service, and a particular issue through text. We are going to move on next slide. Naive-Bayes classifier is methods that are used to this study research. The naive-Bayes method is a classification method in text mining used in sentiment analysis. This method is potentially good in classification in terms of precision and data computation. Naive-Bayes is widely used in classification techniques, especially Twitter, using several methods such as unigram naive-Bayes, multinominal naive-Bayes, and maximum entropy classification. This is Bayes' theorem in equation 1, where C is specific class, X is data on an unknown class, PC given X, conditional probability of C given X, PXC, conditional probability of X given C. It is probability of even C, and Px is probability of even X. Next. Naive-Bayes assume that each attribute is independent. In the naive-Bayes classification, Equation 1 is then further developed into equation 2 and 3, where C is specific class and x1 until xn is characteristic of instruction for classifying. The equation final is posterior, is prior likelihood per evidence. Next slide. In the classification evaluation process, there are 4 probabilities that occur from the classifying row of data. There is TP or true positive is if the data is positive and the prediction is positive. But if TN or true negative, if the data is negative and the prediction is negative, but if the data is predicted to be positive, it will be counted as a false positive. There are a number of methods that can be used to access or evaluate the classification model, including accuracy, precision, and recall. Next slide. This is a flowchart for this research. The first stage in this research method is to collect data in Python by requesting the Twitter API to obtain the following codes which are keys and tokens to be able to access Twitter storage. The keyword online learning is used with a total 500 data per data retrieval. Next slide. The next stage is the data preprocessing stage, starting with cleaning, scaffolding, stop word removal, tokenizing, and stemming. Scaffolding is stage for converting text into standard form. At this stage, lowercase is usually chosen to make capital letters lowercase. Stop word, deletion of words that have no meaning in Indonesia, and tokenizing is the process of breaking sentence into words. The next steps is labeling and testing the model. After modeling, the accuracy and precision values will be obtained, and from that value, the result of the analysis and research are complete and finished. Next slide. I think that is all for me. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so the time of Nermina's presentation is 8 minutes and 10 seconds. That is excluding the technical difficulties that Nermina has regarding her microphone. I guess the problem is coming from the microphone, not the connection. But make sure when you are going to present your final presentation in the last 2 weeks of our semester, the problem is already solved. Okay, so it's 8 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
And 12 seconds. Okay, we already have 4 presenters, and we're going to move on to our 5th presenters, which is okay. Is Jovan in the classroom? I think I've heard Jovan's voice earlier. Okay, so our 5th presenter is Jovan Ezra, and after Jovan, we're going to have Hauda and then Zafiri. Okay, let me check the attendance list. Okay, so it's kind of, so I think we only have 7 presenters for today, and so after Jovan, we're going to have, it's either Hauda or Zafiri. Okay, Jovan, you may start your presentation.
Okay, wait a second, sir.
Jovan.
Okay. Are my slides are visible to you, sir? Oh,
No, you haven't shared your screen. Now it's showing.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good morning.
Morning.
I'd like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Jovan Ezra Yahya, and you can call me Jovan. And I'm from Kelompok Ilmuwan Instrumentation and Computation Physics. And I'm currently working on Pak Maman Budiman project with Bunina Siti Aminah as the supervisor for my thesis. And let me present to you my topic. Technology is something that cannot be separated from humans and has a very high impact on humankind development. Every day, people compete to create an innovation to ease life of human. And one of the technologies that continues to develop is navigation technology. It helps us access unfamiliar environments, and oftentimes we use GPS or global positioning system as our main navigation technology. And as you all guys can see, I have right here is ITB physics building, and it's quite wide. People may have difficulties locating their destination here, and our purpose is we want to make it easier for people to navigate inside ITB physics building. And with our project, I believe they won't get lost and won't have any difficulties locating their destinations. So navigation is an important aspect for human activities. I summarize three important things that navigation system must have. First, knowing our current location. And second, it can determine the destination. And last, it can estimate travel time and distance. And global positioning system. GPS is a technology system that rely on satellites orbiting space consisting of a minimum of 24 satellites. The GPS has capabilities to determine the user's position and provide navigation to a location. But however, the use of GPS has drawbacks, especially in indoors. Sometimes their signal becomes unreadable in indoors environment. They cannot penetrate solid walls or structures. And navigation system is not only needed in outdoor, but also indoor. For example, a mall building, hospital, office building, and buildings that are consisting of several rooms or location. Visitors often need a navigation to or from a desired location on the building. Therefore, it is necessary to have other methods with better capabilities than GPS as an indoor navigation system. Let me introduce to you about indoor positioning system or IPS. IPS is a system of network connected device which is used for wireless locationing of objects inside buildings. And IPS technology can be vary in accuracy, cost, installation, and maintenance. And it consists of three distinct elements: a dynamic platform, allocation devices, and a mobile application. The output of these operations are presented in coordinates, latitude, longitude, and height. There are multiple positioning techniques that use Wi-Fi technology, and we used to call it WPS or Wi-Fi positioning system. And RSSI or Receive Signal Strength Indicator and fingerprinting method is one of them. This method uses the signal strength data obtained with RSSI that is stored in the database to locate the coordinates the client device. RSSI is a measurement of signal strength received by a wireless device. The data obtained with RSSI is stored in the database. Then the user sends a query concerning the RSS data to the database. That is, known coordinates are compared with the unknown ones, and the most accurate location is obtained. This method is called fingerprinting. Okay, a protocol is a set of rules and guidelines for communicating data. Rules are defined for each step and process during communication between two or more computers. Networks have to follow these rules to successfully transmit data. Mqtt is an oasis or organization for the advancement of structured information standards, messaging protocol for the Internet of Things or IoT. It is designed as an extremely lightweight publish or subscribe messaging transport that is ideal for connecting remote devices with a small code footprint and minimal network bandwidth. Okay, this is the illustration for MQTT protocol. Next. And in this study, we are planning to use Wi-Fi router to transmit the signal, and smartphone as the receiver or the RSSI signal reader. The data obtained in the smartphone then delivered to server using message query transport telemetry protocol. Then the signal is converted to distance using log normal shadow modeling method. And this method is an extension to the freeze-free space model. It is used to predict the propagation loss for a wide range of environments, whereas the freeze space model is restricted to unobstructed clear path between the transmitter and the receiver. The model encompasses random shadowing effects due to signal blockage by hills, trees, buildings, etc. And this is the log normal shadow modeling formula. Okay. The study area is going to be divided into several areas, and the determined RSSI value on each areas is saved into the fingerprint of each area. Each area will compare the stored RSSI value with the RSSI value that is read in real time by the user. These features are displayed in the form of an application on Android smartphone as the visual data interface on smartphone. In this study, we are using Android Studio software to build the apps. Android Studio is the integrated development environment or IDE for Google's Android operating system. Okay. Interface is one of services provided by the operating system as a means of interaction between user and the operating system. There are four prevalent types of user interface: CLI or command line interface, menu-driven interface, touchscreen graphical user interface, and GUI, graphical user interface. UI interface or user interface makes the exchange between users and machines are possible. The most crucial part in building an UI is the conveniences in communicating and using the system interactively. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for your presentation. And Ezra, Jovan has present his presentation for 9 minutes. Okay, is 0900. And the number of slides that he prepared is also adequate for a 10 minutes presentation. Okay, okay, thank you, Jovan. So for sake of efficiency, for the sake of time efficiency, let us move on to Zafiri.
You're welcome,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Wait. Okay. Oh, wait. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Wait. Oh, okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going. Oh, by the way, my name is Zavir Fadi Jawahari, and my ID number is 102177097. Today, I am going to present my paper that talk about calculating optimal price in gacha game with prospect theory. So for the first page, I'm going to explain a little bit about gacha for those of you unfamiliar with the term. So as you can see here, I compared between trading, gambling, and gacha. So the way I compare is there's an input here where the money comes, and there's the process, and there's the output. So the three of them has the same input. So as in trading, you have 100,000 rupiah, and you do trade, and you get the product. So if you want to buy milk, then you get the milk. There's no output variation, and usually equal value. Maybe if the and maybe it's affected by the market change or something. And the second one is gambling. So the first one, there's an input same as before, 100,000 rupiah, and then you do gambling, and then there's a two output variation. There's more, usually more than two, but for this example, I just take two to give an explanation. So you either get 0 rupiah or you either get 1 million rupiah. So there's a direct comparison with the input where you either get money or you either lose money. So there's clear increase or decrease of value, and also several output variations. And lastly, gacha. The input is the same, 100,000 rupiah, and then do gacha. And then also there's two variation, but it's also usually more, but also for the example, I just take two. There's either common rarity or legendary rarity. You cannot compare this item, the rarity, with the money you spend. So there's a vague increase or decrease of value, and also several output variations. And to measure this gacha, I'm going to use prospect theory. And prospect theory basically describes how individuals assess their loss and gain perspectives in an asymmetric manner. So as you can see here, this graph, it's a simple X and Y graph. So the X-axis is measuring the gain and loss you get, and the Y-axis is measuring the value. So yeah. And the purpose of this paper is to find optimal price in gacha using prospect theory. The term, what I mean optimal price here is that, as you can see in the graph here, the point from reference point to B is what I said, it's optimal price area. Because from the reference point to B, there's a clear increase there. There's a slope there, but there's an increase in value there. But from point B onward, the line is flattening. So, and this area from B forward is risk, what I call risk aversion area. And for the opposite side, from reference point to A is the optimal loss area. So if you want to lose money, this is the area you want to get. And from point A backwards is the risk preference area. So this is when your loss of value keep flattening. And for the calculation, I'm going to use cumulative prospect theory. And evaluate the outcome by a value function u. As you can see here, there's a ux here. It's also called utility function relative to a reference point that separates all outcomes into gains and losses. So as you can see here, the CPTX, there's a two integral. There's the W plus and W minus. So I said the W plus is represent the gain you get, and the W minus is represent the losses you get. And you you compare these two, and when you get the maximum value, that's when you get optimal price. Because in the graph here, this is an ideal graph. This is not real. So you rarely see this kind of graph. Usually it's not this smooth. Usually there's a multiple peak, multiple hill. So it's hard to determine where is the optimal price area. So in order to do that, I'm going to use cumulative prospect theory. And before I gathering the data, I required some condition. And that is the buyer's value is commonly known and the buyer is aware of his dynamic and consistent preference. What that means is the buyer is know what he's involved into. He know what the general idea what is gacha. He's not surprised what he's getting into. He's not surprised when he get something bad, or he's not surprised when he gets something good. He expects something, and well, yeah. In why I choose to do that, because if the buyer doesn't know what gacha is, then I cannot take objective data. So for the data itself, I'm going to need price of item or the money spent. It could be several currency. It could be in-game currency, but for this case, I'm going to use money. And the second is a value in terms of rarity. And rarity means it determines how difficult it is to obtain the item. So this is data that the rarity that we'll use. So the lowest rarity is a 3-star item. The second lowest rarity or 4-star item, and the highest rarity is a 4-star item. The why I choose to do this rarity system, because this is clear comparison. Because 5-star system usually more valued than 3-star system, than 3-star item. Because in other games, like you can see here, it's a Magic the Gathering. This card is sold for $150,000 or about 2.1 billion rupiah, but it has the lowest rarity. But the highest rarity card, one of the highest rarity card, is just sold for $24. Meanwhile, the average price of one pack is only $3. This is because the demand for this low rarity card is much higher than this high rarity card. So even if the highest rarity card is harder to obtain, the demand for the lower rarity card is higher. So that's what make the price so different. And before I end my presentation, I just want to remind you that I'm not advertising gambling or gacha. I'm here to explain how gacha works. And as you can see here, it's a great quote from Uncle Ben from Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. Or in this case, with great money comes great responsibility. So I think that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Okay, thank you, Lapiri. Yeah, we're not promoting any type of leisure activities here, but we're just going to analyze how we could say as the physics or the mathematical behavior of the game itself. So it's not so we're not promoting something illegal here. We're just going to analyze or to look what is the physical behavior or mathematical behavior of the game itself. And it is true that at some certain game could be changed into a gambling material, but we are not here to talk about it. But we're just going to analyze it in the scientific perspective of it. Okay, thank you, Zafiri. This Zafiri itself, Zafiri himself has spent 8 minutes for his presentation, which is under the 10 minutes limitation. Okay, the last presenter will be Hauda, right? Hauda Olivia.
Is the slide visible, sir?
Yes. Okay, whenever you're ready, Hauda.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. My name is Halda Alivia. Today I would like to present about my topic. The title is COVID-19 detection based on chest X-ray results using Python. And the background, the COVID-19 pandemic is a global threat and flat the average increase in active cases every day is around 1,000 cases. The high number of cases that are not proportional to the number of health peoples. The statistic about it, health and detected COVID numbers point sharply, but currently falling. And the background, various doctors and researchers are trying to look for accurate COVID-19 detection tools such as PCR and antigen. The doctor will insert a swab device that resembles a long cotton bud to the nose, to the nasopharynx, to the upper part of the throat located at the back of the nose, and obtain a sample of mucus. The process of diagnosis or screening is not possible using last method, and this new method successfully penetrates chest X-ray image. The data X-ray is considered capable of describing lung condition in COVID-19 patients and can be a clinical diagnostic tool. This strategy utilizes the COVID-19 radiographic dataset. This dataset has 1,000 chest X-ray channels, which are categorized into three classes, namely disease normal, COVID-19, and pneumonia. And research, this method overcomes this by making an analysis to help detect COVID-19 through artificial intelligence AI feature using convolutional neural network CNN. The data in the from chest X-ray image is two-dimensional image data that can be processed using deep learning with the CNN method. In the medical field, CT scan or X-ray based on deep learning models of the lungs have a very important role in determining whether the infection is caused by a virus or not. Then the model then can be produced, the high accuracy will be implemented. And this is the method of CNN. CNN is basically a multi-layer arrangement consisting of a convolution layer in peak 6 and a pooling layer called a future layer. This is pooling layer and a fully layer called the classification layer. And this is fully connected. The model are designed to be used to classify three labels. And the convolutional neural network CNN architectural model used in this research is VGG19 and ResNet 50, which has been decided. Modification were made the layer classification because the number of labels used in the study was only 3 classes. After the model goes through the training phase and produce a model to classifying chest X-ray image into 3 classes. And the next stage is to test the model with new data prediction using a model that produce the most optimal accuracy and loss values. And this is flowchart of deep learning. Originally, will started, and this is dataset. The dataset, the type of data used in this study, a secondary data that already exist. And this is preprocessing. Data is intended to prepare the data to be used in the study so that the data obtained can be processed properly by the model to the mate, namely model CNN. The overall size data set normalized to 156 and 256 for PGG19 and 224 for ResNet ResNet 5. ResNet 50. After preprocessing, the data rescaled, which is the value, and it's easier to process input training and testing. And this is for training and testing, but is loss accuracy to optimal because after that it is the split process. Split process is carried out to divide the data into several ratio, which has been collected into two, namely test data and validation. This is a validation, and then from the test data, 10% taken to be used test data in testing program in here, yeah. And and then we'll stop. And this is data set. The population in this study is the image of the chest X-ray, while the sample used in this study is a chest X-ray image dataset, namely normal, pneumonia, and COVID-19. And this is operational definition. This is a variable, and the title such as X-ray and social from Kegel, Multimoti money, and the total 250, and pneumonia 2 from Kegel Multimoti money 250, and COVID-19 chest X-ray Kegel from Tausi Futurahman 219, and Kegel from Bach 31. And the training and validation. This training process is process where deep learning works so that to determine the accuracy and average loss. This is train SSA, and this is validation. It is about accuracy, and this is about loss. In each model, and evaluation of the model is carried using the validation, and this is the line, yeah. In the training process, the researchers in this training process, this research use repetition and use epoch. Training process that stop automatically when the accuracy cannot increase from the accuracy of several previous epoch. Every time there is an increase in accuracy, if the line increase, the training will continue. But whereas if there is no increase, not increase accuracy and several epoch, the training automatically stop, yeah, and stop in this. And the testing and prediction. This testing is this is classification report, and this testing is carried out using the base model during the training process, namely VGG19, and with the highest accuracy value stopping at 41 iteration at ratio 20% and 90%, epoch 41. And this is accuracy, this is, and the loss. And ResNet 50 with the highest accuracy value stopping at 1 iteration epoch at the ratio 50%, 50%. Epochal 1 at a ratio of 50%. This process aims to find out new unknown data labels based on image patterns by displaying segmentation and percentage accuracy. This is percent accuracy and loss. And Based on the table, it produces a prediction all of level is correctly. In this study, predictions were made using 3 new data to produce output to high accuracy, and VGG19 is high accuracy, and loss little. Yeah. This is a loss little of VGG19. And the output we use VGG19 from the normal 98.97%, and from COVID-19 99.16%, and pneumonia 99.56%. And this picture not color in here, yeah, it's different for output normal, COVID-19, and pneumonia. And thank you for viewing this presentation. You can give me criticism and citation from the presentation in the email. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, Hauda has spent 10 minutes for her presentation. There are several points that need to be revised, especially when translating from Indonesian text into English. The components need to be also modified. For example, like the usage of comma in Indonesian now becomes point. So if you are pronouncing 1,3, it becomes 1.3, etc. and so on. And then there are several words that are still in Indonesian that needs to be translated into English. For example, ratio, it should be a ratio. Okay, even in the slide, the ratio written in Indonesian is also present in one of the slides of Hauda's presentation. Okay, I think that's all for today's presentation, since Arfian is not being able to present his talk due to floods and electrical shutdown on his place. So in Thursday, I guess we are going to have a lot of people presenting. In my notes, there will be 10 to 11 people who are going to present on Thursday, which is our last day of 10 minutes presentation session. So please make sure that your connection, your PPT, your PowerPoint, microphone, etc. and so on are on the prime condition, so that whenever we have the session start, all of this trouble is not going to hinder our presentation session. Okay, thank you all for all the representatives. I'm going to give a big round of applause for all of the presenters today. Let us meet again on Thursday for our final day of 10 minutes presentation. Okay, thank you and see you again on Thursday. Okay, let me stop the recording.
Thank you.